In May 2020, a highly trained U.S. Army paratrooper vanished from a remote beach camping trip with his friends. Days later, only part of his body washed ashore on a deserted island. What happened to Specialist Enrique Roman-Martinez remains one of the military's most haunting unsolved mysteries. This is the story of Specialist Enrique Roman-Martinez, a 21-year-old paratrooper from the elite 82nd Airborne Division, stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. A dedicated soldier, a beloved son, and a friend whose life was cut tragically short during what should have been a simple weekend getaway. Today, we're exploring the disappearance that shocked the military community and left investigators with more questions than answers. This is a case that remains unsolved to this day. In late May 2020, during the Memorial Day weekend, Enrique and 6 fellow soldiers from Fort Bragg decided to take a camping trip to Cape Lookout National Seashore. This protected stretch of coastline on North Carolina's Outer Banks is known for its pristine beaches, wild horses, and isolation, accessible only by ferry. The group set up camp on the beach, a place where cell phone service is limited and civilization feels far away. They brought tents, supplies, and planned to spend the weekend relaxing by the ocean. But on the morning of May 22nd, something went terribly wrong. When his fellow soldiers woke up, Enrique was gone. His belongings, his wallet, and his phone were still at the campsite, but Enrique himself had vanished without a trace. When Enrique didn't return, his companions immediately notified authorities. The National Park Service, Coast Guard, and local law enforcement launched an extensive search operation across the barrier islands and surrounding waters. For 7 agonizing days, search teams combed the beaches, marshlands, and ocean. Helicopters surveyed from above, while boats searched the Atlantic waters. Enrique's family, back home, waited desperately for news. Then, on May 29, 2020, a Park Service ranger made a devastating discovery. On Shackleford Banks, a nearby uninhabited island, partial human remains had washed ashore. Dental records would soon confirm what everyone feared. They belonged to Enrique Roman-Martinez. The condition of the remains immediately raised red flags. This was no accident. The U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, known as CID, took over the case, officially classifying it as a homicide. The Army CID launched a full criminal investigation, but from the beginning, this case was complicated. 6 soldiers were with Enrique on that trip, 6 people who should have answers, yet their accounts of that night have reportedly been inconsistent. Investigators faced numerous challenges. The campsite was on a remote beach with no surveillance cameras. The harsh ocean environment had already compromised evidence, and the tight-knit nature of military units can sometimes make witnesses reluctant to speak. What we know is this: Enrique disappeared sometime during the night or early morning hours of May 22nd. There were no signs of a struggle at the campsite, no blood, no obvious clues. It was as if he had simply walked away into the darkness. But the medical examiner's findings suggested foul play, though specific details have been withheld from the public to protect the integrity of the investigation. To this day, the Army CID continues to investigate. They've conducted dozens of interviews, analyzed forensic evidence, and followed up on countless leads, but no arrests have been made, no suspects have been publicly named, and no clear motive has emerged. Enrique's family has been vocal in their pursuit of justice, pleading with anyone who has information to come forward. The Army has offered a reward for information leading to an arrest, but the case remains at a standstill. So what really happened to Enrique Roman-Martinez that night? The questions are haunting. Why would a young soldier leave his campsite in the middle of the night without his phone or wallet? If you went for a walk, why hasn't anyone come forward with information? And most troubling, how did he end up deceased in a manner that investigators classified as a homicide? Some have speculated about the dynamics within the group that weekend. Were there tensions, an argument that escalated? Others have wondered if Enrique encountered someone else on that isolated beach, though the area was largely empty during that time. The 82nd Airborne Division is one of the most respected units in the U.S. military, known for its rigorous standards and brotherhood. The fact that this tragedy occurred among fellow soldiers makes it all the more heartbreaking. What's clear is that someone knows something, whether it's one of the 6 soldiers who were there or someone else entirely. There are answers out there waiting to surface. Enrique's mother, Gloria, has said that she won't rest until she gets justice for her son. In her words, Enrique was a loving, responsible young man with his whole life ahead of him. He deserved better than this. The disappearance and death of Specialist Enrique Roman-Martinez is a tragedy that continues to demand answers. A young man who served his country with honor deserves justice, and his family deserves closure. If you have any information about what happened that May weekend in 2020 at Cape Lookout, the Army CID urges you to come forward. Anonymous tips can be submitted, and there is a reward available for information that leads to an arrest. Cases like this remind us that even in places that seem safe, among people we trust, darkness can still find its way in. But they also remind us that we cannot give up. Not on Enrique, not on his family, and not on the truth. His story deserves to be told, his memory deserves to be honored, and his case deserves to be solved. If this case touched you, please consider sharing this video to help spread awareness. Someone out there knows what happened. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on unsolved cases and true crime investigations. This is a story that needs to be remembered. Thank you for watching, and never forget, justice delayed is not justice denied. We owe it to Enrique to keep searching for the truth.